When you think of a mask, you probably think of hiding, right? Like concealing your true self to keep people at a distance. But what if the mask isn't hiding you? What if the mask is actually you?
Welcome to the deep dive. I'm happily playing the eager student today, digging into the historical roots of human behavior.
And I'll be your lecturer for the day. Really happy to guide you through section 11.1 of chapter 11 from Psychology 2E.
So before we get into all the, wild history outlined in section 11.1, I feel like I need a baseline. We throw the word personality around a lot, but does the textbook just mean like how someone acts at a party?
It's a lot deeper than that. The textbook defines personality as these long-standing traits and patterns that propel us to consistently think, feel, and behave in specific ways. The key word there is stable. But going back to your mask idea, the word actually comes from the Latin persona.
Oh, wait, persona, literally meaning mask.
Right.
Exactly, yeah, a theatrical mask. But ancient actors didn't wear it to hide. They wore it to project a very specific, enduring character trait so the audience instantly knew who they were dealing with.
Okay, let's unpack this. So it was basically an amplifier, not a disguise. If personality is this, enduring broadcast of who we are, how did early thinkers try to categorize those signals? Because I'm guessing they didn't have internet personality quizzes back in 370 BCE.
No, definitely not. They actually looked at bodily fluids. So Hippocrates theorized that our traits stem from four humors, like the choleric temperament comes from yellow bile, or sanguine comes from red blood. And then later, Galen argued that imbalances in these literal fluids caused personality differences.
Wait, so if I'm angry, ancient doctors literally thought I just had, too much yellow bile sloshing around inside me. Like, the physical fluid actually was the emotion.
That was exactly the logic, yes. They didn't really separate the physical body from the mind back then. The mechanism of anger was basically just a chemical overflow to them.
That is just wild. But I mean, just bleeding someone doesn't really explain if they're naturally introverted or extroverted, right? How did science move from literal fluids to actual traits?
What's fascinating here is that realization is exactly what forced the shift. So by the 18th century, thinkers like Immanuel Kant realized the fluid theory just wasn't adding up. So they kept the four categories but replaced the literal fluids with trait words.
Right, making it a bit more psychological.
Yeah, and then in the 19th century, Wilhelm Wundt took it further because lists of traits were still just too chaotic. He needed a measurable system. So he mapped these traits onto two intersecting axes. One was emotional versus not emotional, and the other was changeable versus unchangeable.
Okay, I see. So instead of just saying you're a red blood type, it's more like you react strongly, but your moods shift quickly. Huh. He was trying to measure the intensity and the stability of human reactions.
Precisely. Wundt chose those specific axes because they finally offered a way to map the mechanics of behavior rather than just, pointing at a puddle of phlegm.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. An axis on a piece of paper is still kind of just philosophy. And if scientists want to be taken seriously, they usually demand hard physical data. So is that why we suddenly reverted back to measuring the physical body with phrenology?
You nailed it. People really craved objective measurements. So in 1780, Franz Gall proposed phrenology. That's the idea that you could literally measure the distances between bumps on a skull to determine someone's traits.
Wait, the literal bumps on your head?
Yes, literally feeling the skull.
The mechanism here was that if a specific brain area dictated a trait, say pridefulness, and you use that trait a lot, Gall figured the brain muscle would grow and physically push up the skull.
Okay, that makes an odd sort of sense for 1780, right? Like lifting weights, so you've got a huge murderous bump, you must be really working out that part of your brain.
Exactly. I mean, the logic follows perfectly, even if the premise is deeply flawed. The textbook rightly classifies phrenology as debunked pseudoscience today. But at the time, it was just this desperate attempt to make the mind physically measurable. Right. But since rubbing people's heads obviously didn't actually predict behavior, we had to abandon the physical body entirely at some point, right? Is that where Freud finally comes in?
Yes, it is. The sheer failure of phrenology meant thinkers had to look inward again. So Freud introduced this psychodynamic perspective. He argued that unseen, unconscious drives, specifically sex and aggression, were the actual engines operating our behavior.
But Freud's theories are, pretty polarizing now. Didn't his own followers push back on the idea that literally everything is driven by sex?
Oh, they definitely did. The Neo-Freudians realized that boiling all of human complexity down to primal biological urges completely ignored the actual world around us.
So they shifted the focus.
Yeah, they stripped away that heavy focus on sex and replaced it with a focus on social environments and culture. They argued that our interactions with the world shape our mask far more than hidden animalistic drives.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? I mean, tracing this wild evolution from bodily fluids to philosophical grids to skull bumps and finally the unconscious mind, it really shows just how desperately we humans want a blueprint for human nature. We just keep, I don't know, upgrading the tools we use to crack the code of what makes you, you.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's a great reminder that our understanding of behavior is always just a work in progress. What we consider undeniable science today is often built on the discarded assumptions of the past.
Which leaves you with a really fun question to ponder today. Is measuring the distance between skull bumps to figure out if someone is friendly sounds completely absurd to us right now? What modern methods do you use to judge the personalities of the people around you that might be considered total pseudoscience in 100 years? Are the masks we project today really any clearer than the ancient ones?